Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us today on today's hashtag Autotalk. We have an awesome guest today, someone who I've known for a long time, started as a customer, still a customer, more of a partner, good friend, Mr. JP Ostiguy from Toronto, Ontario.
Hello.
And JP actually was the first Canadian customer of Authntk back over 5 years ago. As I mentioned, customer, more of a friend, more of a partnership at this point, and somebody who has a wealth of knowledge in the auto industry and other industries as well. So I think everyone's going to gain a lot from having him on today. So what I want to start with, as I mentioned, I've known you for a while.
Yep.
We talk about all sorts of things. One of the newer things that I've learned about you is that you started your career, or at some point in your career, you were a stand-up comedian.
I was a professional stand-up comedian for 2 years by mistake. Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Way back in the 90s, I was playing rugby and in school and trying to, enjoy life and being stupid and young. And one of my friend's sisters wanted to be a comedian. So we went to a open mic night at Yuck Yucks in Ottawa. And we went there and he was nervous. She went up there. We were there for support. And this hack of an old MC comedian, washed up guy, was heckling her the whole way through her bit, and she started crying. And I never heckle anybody, but I heckled the heck out of him. And he said, "You think it's so easy? You come up here." And my friends were like, "Oh no." And I went up and spoke for 45 minutes, and the red light was going, and I thought you're doing a great job. It's like, get the hell off the stage. And I walked off, and the bartender was like, "That was great. We'll pay your bar tab." I said, "I don't drink." He said, "Perfect." So yeah.
Then you ended up doing that for 2 years?
I did that for 2 years. I went back night after night, and my friends kind of pushed me into doing it, and I did it for a couple of years, and then I found it just wasn't my calling, even though it was a lot of fun and I had some success. I opened for Mike McDonald and Norm McDonald at one point, and
wow,
that was a lot of fun, but it just wasn't my calling. I wasn't very funny, I guess.
So if I go to Yuck Yucks now, is your picture up on the on the wall when I come in?
They're not letting this guy in here. Yeah, that's not.
That's awesome. I love that. So so transitioning, you came into the auto industry. How does that help you nowadays?
Well, I learned a long time ago that taking things too seriously, you got to take things seriously, but taking things too seriously and not having fun with what you're doing, it will destroy you. It'll make your life uncomfortable. It'll make your life unhappy. And the people around you feel the energy. So enjoy what you do and have fun, make people laugh. And it's okay to be seriously funny.
Right.
So it's really helped help the people around me, the people I train, the people I coach, and the people I work with in the customer standpoint, because they seem to have more lighter side. Buying cars suck. We understand that. So this makes it easier for people to kind of adapt to us and build rapport and really focus in on having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a personality and let it be.
Oh, yeah.
Let it be apparent, right?
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I love that little, I know a lot about your background. I think that is just so cool, and it makes sense. I knew you for 5 years, then I found that out, and I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Look at my LinkedIn account. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, so transitioning to auto stuff here a little bit. What we're going to talk about today is new technologies in an old school industry, right? Implementing them, getting folks on board. Something that I know, you've been dragging dealerships along for many years now. Why don't you just give us a quick, 30-second background on yourself, what you're doing in auto today, and what you're passionate about.
I'm a general manager at a Nissan dealer in Toronto area, and I got that role by being the head of training, or the development manager for a very large group called Zanchin. At one point, I was working with all 33 stores and 16 different brands, helping them with the communication skills, the reputation management, some level of marketing and really helping people communicate better through email, through phone, through text, through everything else. And I honestly believe that if people have one-to-one relationship or communication, it will be better. So teaching people about video really was an easy way to have that customer right in front of you, or you right in front of the customer. So we kind of, and I, you know how I am. I pretty much get what I want. I'm very stubborn.
Right.
So, and I have OCD.
Mm-hmm.
So, so it kind of
literally, right?
It went well, and it literally ADHD and OCD and anxiety disorder. So I'm your worst nightmare if you don't do what I say. Right. But really, it was about getting people to understand how video works and why it works. And everyone listening right now who works in a dealership goes, well, my guys won't do video. And I said, well, they will if you make them.
Yeah.
And transitioning, making people understand the value of it isn't the only way. So I'm sure we'll talk about this through this process. We wrote it into our pay plan. We interviewed for it. We made people aware of the opportunity with it. And then we had challenges, which you actually judged and had a contest for.
Right.
It's highly successful.
Yeah.
And we built it into part of the culture, even into the service department now, and it's paid off huge dividends.
Yeah. Would you say that the biggest sort of pushback you get when introducing new technology is, you know, whether it's video or whether it's, you know, other stuff that you guys are doing, is it takes too much time? Like what do you see being the GM now? What kind of pushbacks are you getting from your sales guys when you say, hey, we're going to do this?
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. Why doesn't it work? Well, it just doesn't work. You know, people fearful of change. It's not that they're not going to do it. They just don't know anything about it. And because of that, they feel uncomfortable. Right. It's funny because if you walk around the showroom floor when people are kind of off guard and you take a video of them, I've caught so many people on Amazon looking at videos of product they wanted to buy on Amazon. And I videotape them watching the video on Amazon and I show it to them. This is why we need to do video.
Yep.
Yeah, Amazon, 98% are a higher conversion rate on the product if there's a video. So what does that tell you? If Amazon's doing it and Wayfair is doing it on a freaking couch, we should be doing video on something more complicated like a car,
right?
Or service.
Yeah, even sneakers now. I feel like, you know, you go to Nike, Under Armour, and you can see a video of the shoes, right? Or Levi's.
Absolutely. Just socks. There's socks with carbon in them now to help you sweat better, and you know why not? Explain the technology through video and have that experience.
Yeah.
But that was the thing, is just catching people in that moment when they're consuming their own enjoyment of what they wanted to buy, and that's when you show them, okay, yeah, I get it, and then just forcing them to do it,
right? Forcing them.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable, you know. If you look back, I was talking about it at a conference yesterday. If you look back at the first video I ever did, it was like, hi, crap, like it was. You wanted to be. I was so bad compared to what I've done now. Like, how many videos have you done, John? Now, thousands.
Yeah.
So you get better just by repetition.
Yeah, I remember when we first started this company. You know, I didn't like doing video. Don't like hearing myself talk. No one likes hearing their own voice. No one likes seeing themselves.
I've got the strip club announcer voice. I love my voice.
Right. Right. You're the rare person who likes their voice. But yeah, it's just the more I do it, the more comfortable I am. You know, now we're doing these, you know, video chats, and we have done live ones in the past, and I don't even really think twice about it anymore, or I just don't watch them back.
Part of it. Well, that's it. Put a Post-it note over your face. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So, you know, kind of thinking of the industry, you know, as it's moving from selling a product, right? It's gone from selling this car to the younger generation. You're selling an experience, right? And
absolutely.
So how do you see sort of, as your customers are moving online, spending more time online beforehand, and sort of the role of the dealership is changing, you know, what's kind of the role of the dealership for this modern generation who, you know, want a better experience as opposed to just bottom line?
I think the biggest role is understanding that the world is based on a subscription service. People want engagement. People are taking to LinkedIn to share their business stories. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. all generations are looking at news feeds, and the first thing they see is a video that details and transcripts and writing below it.
Mm-hmm.
So people want to consume things that are easier. It saves them time and energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why we look at a video and it says 7 minutes. Do I want to invest 7 minutes of my time to actually watch this video, or a minute, right? So there's a huge shift in it. But people want an easier, better, and emotional connection than they want when a print. Everyone loves to curl up in a book, but how many people curl up with a tablet now and watch videos?
Right.
You know, that's all it is. And if you can get people to understand and put that emotion and that personality forward, your connection with them is so much better, and you're the only one doing it, so it'll make it better.
Right. What would you say pros and cons of new technology in the dealership? Or is there any cons? Like as a
Absolutely, there's lots of cons because it changes so often.
Yeah.
You know, we just replaced my daughter's iPad. It was Gen 1 iPad. It was first one for Gen 2 with Wi-Fi, but it took so long to load. But my 4-year-old just couldn't take it anymore. So it wasn't worth my energy to fight with her on the loading time. So we bought her a new tablet. But every time technology changes, there's a shift. Well, I just learned how to use this technology. Now you're telling me I have to use this. So there's always a negativity with that. But as long as you understand and build people and set them up for self-exploration to learn the new technology on their own and not be forced, and they will see value in it, and they'll adapt faster than you will.
Right.
Because when you force someone down their throat, how many times, John, have you talked to a dealership that has had process after process after process put in place, and the staff are like, yeah, I guess it's Tuesday. It's a new process.
Right.
So, consistency will make that scare of technology go away.
Yeah.
And as long as you're not doing too many changes or implementing too many things at once, the transition is easier. But you will always have a little bit of confusion because new technology has to be learned by everybody.
Yeah, and I think to that, that's a really interesting point. Like, you know, there's so many in the auto industry. How many vendors are there? You know, selling all these digital things and stuff like that. And part of the problem is maybe you have an owner or a GM. You know, not like yourself, but another type of GM who gets sold this hot new thing, and then they try it for a month, don't like it, cancel. So then the sales staff are like, well, why is this one any different than that one? I don't want to spend my time on it. So that's when it comes down to, the leadership and ownership doing their due diligence, and then, okay, we're doing this. We're not just canceling it after 30 days.
And the buy-in that happens, you have to get people on board, is ask an opinion. Don't just force it down their throat. And there's dealers out there right now listening that says, if I ask their opinion, they'll all say no.
Yeah.
Well, these are the same dealers that turn off the Wi-Fi for staff. They block YouTube, they block Facebook, they block LinkedIn, they block social media. So there's no self-exploration. But if you honestly ask, how can we generate more sales? And as long as your staff, we need more paper ads and TV.
Yeah.
You'll actually get a pretty good sounding feedback. Also, if you ask people to do a self-assessment, a really laid out self-assessment that doesn't just benefit the dealer, but benefits growth of the person, the amount of people that said, I would really like to learn how to communicate better to customers. If they're being honest with themselves, they've set themselves up to, well, we've got video. Well, I don't want to do video, but you did say that you wanted to learn how to communicate better. Right? So the self-assessment's been a big thing for helping us grow and helping us adapt. Right?
Yeah, I love that. I ran a demo yesterday for somebody who was interested in the Authntk platform, and I loved it because we hopped on. I thought it was going to be one person. She had 6 people in the room with her sales staff and the internet manager, and to make sure that they liked it and would use it. And I thought that made so much sense because now it's not just me and her talking, and then she is dictating this to everybody else. They've seen it. They all said, yeah, let's do it. I like it.
Well, it's perfect.
So now the implementation is going to be a piece of cake, right?
Well, and the biggest thing with it is, that game as kids, you all stand on a line and the first person says something in the first person's ear and it goes down the line and it's a totally different phrase.
Yep.
Having everyone in the room so you don't have to recycle or reinterpret, or if you leave things to interpretation, it'll be wrong. But you have the players in the room that are going to be using it. That's why your live training and stuff like that you offer has been amazing, is have people will actually understand better. So the questions will be coming from a space of knowledge versus a space of concern.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a good idea.
Why is it that you think the auto industry, this is kind of fact, right? The auto industry is a little bit slower to adapt to modern trends and, things like that. Why do you think that is? Why is the auto industry a little bit behind?
Well, I think it's slowly changing. It's picking up.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of people who are the most amazing at their job. They're amazing in retention,
Mm-hmm.
amazing at customer experience, and have grown up through an older system. So they've grown up through a Rolodex. They've grown up through, magazines. They've grown up through radio. They've grown up, and now they're management, and now they're dealer principals, and now they're GMs, and they're still comfortable with that style. So they knew it worked. So some people are not, I wouldn't say pig-headed, but they were concerned that this worked, so it should work again, right? They may not have, we have some people in our group that don't have cell phone. Like literally we had to impose a cell phone law. And they're like, okay, I have a phone call coming in. But there's people like that out there. And that's, in the industry, we promoted the people who are really successful, and they were successful for so long. But they never had to adapt like they've had to adapt now. Mm-hmm. Since I've known you, I think it's 5-6 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 5.5 years.
The industry has changed more in the last year than it has in the previous decade. It was speeding up, but people just aren't comfortable with it. But these are the same people who will go home, view news feeds on their phone, can multitask, watch TV and watch everything at once, do everything they can. And they're the same people who will consume things, who want a better customer experience, who want it interactive, who will use a tablet. They just haven't figured out how to do that in their business life yet.
Right.
So that's why we're a little bit waylaid. And those people are encouraging a new generation of people coming into the business to be the same thing. Mm-hmm. So they're not getting, the fear of change is going on to the next generation.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah. Do you think that those dealerships who are scared to adapt, or, to use your word, pig-headed, and just say, this is the way we sell cars, it's worked for us for years, we're not changing. Do you think that those dealerships are going to be relevant in the next 10, 20 years?
We've always done it this way, is the most dangerous thing in the business language. They will be relevant because what's going to happen is, I love listening to rabbis that are on YouTube and everything else, because their storytelling is amazing. And I find their depth of knowledge is amazing. And there was one rabbi that talked about lobsters. And I was like, what, lobsters? I don't know, seafood? What the hell? And he's talking about lobsters and how lobsters get so uncomfortable growing in their shell. The only two things they can do is die or molt. Mm-hmm. And if they want to not be uncomfortable anymore, they have to go through that pain. Mm-hmm. And then they get to the next level, and then they grow, and they're no longer in pain. They see success. Mm-hmm. Every year they find hundreds of millions of lobsters in the ocean floor that are dead in their shell because they've refused to grow.
Interesting.
And the older, and again, I love the story because it's nature, and I love nature. But it is amazing to see. Nature does it, so why can't we adapt? Mm-hmm. And why can't we do it? Eventually, these dealers will be so uncomfortable, they'll either sell, they just want to change, or they will adapt because they die or they grow. That's it.
Mm-hmm. I love it. So kind of the one thing that I like to ask everybody as we're sort of, wrapping up is, look into your crystal ball 5-10 years from now. What does the selling process look like? The buying process, kind of what's the auto industry 10 years down the road?
10 years is a long time. Where it's going and where the trends are going, and the dealers that are most successful all over the world, especially in Europe, have eliminated the multi-level positions. Mm-hmm. They have entrepreneurs working in a dealership, and they use networking as a huge part of it. Mm-hmm. And that person who sells you the car is the guy who rents you the car, is the guy that takes you in for service, is your F&I manager, is your fleet guy. Mm-hmm. It's one person with a portfolio that deals with multiple people. That person's rewarded differently because he gets to pick from, he gets, topped up from every everything. They won't be an FIM manager. There won't be a sales manager. There won't be a salesperson. There won't be a collision guy. There won't be a sales. It'll be the same person, and you'll have multiple entrepreneurs working within the walls. No more desks. No more. It'll be couches and relaxed and having these conversations.
Yeah.
The online purchase process, the subscription process, where people are like, okay, I don't need to own a car necessarily, but I want to have a car. Subscription service may also be a factor, but realistically, I do realize that car ownership, car leasing will always be there. That's where this is moving, whether you like it or not, and whether you're screaming at me or not, it is. No customer likes to jump from between person and person to person.
Right. You buy a car with somebody that you gain a rapport with, and then they're like, okay, here's this other person you never met before, and then here's this other person you never met before. And
well, when you buy a car, how many times, as the salespeople who are listening or GMs out there, has that same customer come back to you and ask you for an oil change? Or can you book my service appointment? And you said, sure. That proves the case right there.
Right. Awesome. I love it. This has been a lot of fun, super informative. I do want to, before we jump off, I want you to talk a little bit about your side hustle or kind of maybe what you're very passionate about, bringing people together, networking.
Yeah. So I love professional networking. I like helping people learn how to communicate better. My company is called How to Engage. It's HAO, the number 2, engage.ca or Canada. So and again, thanks for bringing it up. Many salespeople in the automotive industry don't network. They use referrals, they do everything else, they market, they do everything else. But you have to understand that a community grows faster together than an individual, right? And there'll always be a rock star, there'll always be a superstar, but what about all the people who want to grow as well? Try this when you're at your dealership. Host an event that has nothing to do with automotive and bring in speakers to help grow people. We do, just to give you an example, through my company, through the dealership, we do women in business event where I have a professional woman, Sherry Ann Woolley, will come in. She'll speak about business and her being an entrepreneur, what the challenges have been, what they should look for. And a lot of people come in and are very thankful for that. And they grow. It gives you a chance to brand yourself and everything else. And John, I think you've seen my video when you're networking, when you go to networking events in Toronto alone, which is, a big city, but in the area code of 416, which is about 2 million people, there's over 10,000 networking opportunities in person a year in that one area code. And there's 6 area codes. Oh. So if you're into dogs, if you're into sheet metal, if you're into fish, there's networking events for everything. And just get out there and communicate and be a listener, not a talker. We all salespeople want to sell something, but you end up turning into the business card ninja where you're just throwing business cards out. And, or the business card Santa where you come into an event and everyone gets a present of your business cards and leaves. The only person to benefit is the guy who sells you business cards. So try to have really in-depth conversations with 1 or 2 people at these events and walk away with it with a relationship, and then work with those people to sell their network, not themselves, right? Because that's where the real passion is. If anyone uses bird dogs or referral fees for your customers, they're the guy in their community, right? I've got a guy. I'm looking for a car. I've got a guy that you're networking, right? And certain cultures and certain religions are really strong at it. Now we just have to become better. So look outside of your own depth and look at getting into other networking events. You'll find your growth so much faster. And listen to great speakers. There's networking events online. Meetup.com is a great one. LinkedIn.com is an amazing one. You can look me up, and I'll walk you through it as well.
Awesome.
Thanks for letting me talk about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. And thank you, everybody. This has been hashtag Autotalk with JP Ostiguy. Where can people find you if they want to connect? Is LinkedIn the best?
LinkedIn's great. It's JP Ostiguy. You can look at me. I'm the only one there. My phone number, I'll say it right now. It's 647-888-7300. It's my cell phone. You can text me. I'm happy to help. Otherwise, you can look me up at HAO2engage.ca.
Awesome. Yeah, I follow him. Lots of great content, sales tips, networking tips. going on his LinkedIn. So thank you, JP. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This has been an absolute pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Always, buddy. Cheers.
Oops.